Hello, my name is Fern. Thank you for checking out my channel. I mainly talk about things like lifestyle, travel, finance, modeling, and all things that fall into my general interests. So I want to talk about how I built confidence as a model here in Melbourne, Australia. I haven't been doing professional modeling for that long, but I want to talk about the steps I took to build my confidence and sort of put myself out there to get myself things like paid jobs and experience behind the camera. So just for some context, I have been a model here in Melbourne, Australia for about 1 year, and I've done a couple of modeling jobs in the past as well. I decided to take modeling seriously when I moved to Melbourne and applied to different modeling agencies. I eventually signed to a small boutique agency here in Melbourne, and they've been super supportive and they support things like my overall modeling career and trajectory. In this video, I want to detail the steps I took to grow my confidence and be able to put myself out there, and also go to different modeling jobs and try out different photo shoot styles as well. I do recognize that with modeling and being comfortable in your own body and your own skin is something that everyone has to go on their own journey individually and find out themselves. I know for me, a lot of the tips and tricks I will mention in this video have worked mainly for me. It might not work for other people, but I'm sharing how I got to the point that I am now with my confidence as a model. So the first thing that I really recommend is to find out your look. And what I mean by that is there are so many different types of models out there, and I came to realize when I got into modeling that I'm not going to fit every single category. I've realized that I'm very lean and skinny and tall, and that look fits a very specific type of modeling. So a lot of the jobs that I've booked have been things like commercial shoots for clothes, accessories, shoes. I've done a couple of runway shows as well, and I know that that's sort of where I fit. I know that I'm never going to be like a built fitness model or anything like that, and I think when you're going into modeling, it's really good to identify what your look is and what your target audience might be. With this, it also takes a bit of time. Like, I know when I started getting into modeling, I really wasn't sure at all what my look was. I sort of thought in my head that you just apply for a modeling agency and then bam, you start booking jobs for different brands and companies, which that might not necessarily be the case. It's really good to curate your look as well. So for me, with a lot of the jobs that I do, it's really good to have I guess an image or a brand that you present yourself on social media. So I tend to take a lot of photos with clothes that sort of drape my body in a very particular way. So I feel like knowing your look is very important. The next thing I recommend is learning to be comfortable in your own skin and in yourself. And I know this is sort of easier said than done. It's not something that's, I guess, a lot of people get to, and I know I'm not at that point as well. I have heaps of insecurities, but when you're going to a modeling job, a lot of the time you're there to do a job, and you want to make sure that you can sort of able to pose in the camera based on whatever the brand is asking you to do. It's good to be able to understand sort of how you pose and how your body moves and how you can present the clothes behind the camera. Building confidence in yourself will help you do that. This sort of brings me on to my next point, which is learn to practice your poses behind a mirror. When you're, say, taking Instagram photos with a friend and you take 100 different takes and you pick the best one, that's also really good, but I recommend posing behind a mirror because when it comes time to you posing behind a camera, you won't be able to see yourself because you're literally looking at the camera and the photographer. So it's really good to know how you pose behind a mirror and see which poses work best for you, what angles work best for you as well, and being able to present that on camera. This next point and final point that I want to mention is to gain experience behind a camera. With this, if you don't have any opportunities immediately to pose behind a camera with a professional photographer or in a test shoot setting, I highly recommend reaching out to a friend who might be good at photography, or even just someone who's willing to help you out with taking photos. Learn to try out different poses, different angles, and see which which frame works best for you, how you pose best behind a camera. And I highly recommend doing this with someone that you feel comfortable with as well. I know at the beginning for me it was very daunting posing behind a camera, even for things like Instagram photos when you want it to look candid and you're sort of posing and you're in public and it feels very awkward. So I get it, and I've been there before, and I still feel that awkwardness sometimes, but I highly recommend getting as much experience as you can behind a camera, whether that's in a formal setting like a photo shoot or a test shoot, or if it's just with a friend or family member who's willing to take photos for you. By doing this, when you do apply for modeling agencies or you start creating your digitals for your portfolio, you'll feel a lot more comfortable, and taking photos starts becoming more efficient because you're so used to it and you know your angles and you know what poses work best for you. I do highly recommend that. Once you put all those tips and tricks together, if you have something like a point and shoot camera, so this is my camera that I use, I just pop it on a tripod, stick it up somewhere, have like a nice backdrop, and set a timer on it and pose by yourself. If you don't feel comfortable posing with other people or behind a photographer and you're just practicing, pose behind a camera and just set a timer and see how the photos turn out. I just highly recommend doing that, being as crazy and free as possible in the comfort of your own space and your own privacy. I'll insert some of my modeling photos right now. Anyway, those are some of my basic tips that I've taken to help improve my confidence as a model. Obviously, these are just a very small collection of tips. There's so much more that you can do to build your confidence, and I feel like confidence building, especially for a job like modeling where it's very image-based, building that confidence can take a really long time, and I acknowledge that this is a journey that you'd have to take on your own and be able to develop over time. So for me, it did not come instantly, and in fact it's taken many years to get to the point where I am now, where I feel comfortable posing behind a camera. And even then, I am nowhere near at the confidence level that I have envisioned in my head. It takes a lot of work and effort. Other people might have different ways to build their confidence as well, so just find out what works best for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in any content around like fashion, lifestyle, real estate, definitely check out my other videos, and if you're interested, please hit subscribe. I'd be keen to see you again in the future. Anyway, I hope to see you next time and hope to catch you in another video. Bye!